Today in History Finest Tops, we will explore 10 places as intriguing as they are terrifying. Prisons so hostile that they are feared even by the most dangerous criminals in the world, with few surviving them. Number 10. The Sabaneta Penitentiary, located in the state of Zulia, Venezuela, was built in the 1970s to house a growing prison population. Originally designed for limited capacity, it quickly became insufficient as the inmate population increased. The prison has a poor structure and lack of distribution and organization in its facilities, due to its great overcrowding and inhumane conditions, which is why, over the years, it has generated large protests and internal riots, turning it into a world apart from large dangers and corruption. On September 16, 2013, a sad massacre occurred in the Sabaneta prison, because members of one of the gangs began to shoot at a rival group to take control of the prison, and were responded to with a .50 machine gun, AR-15, AK-47, AK-103 and FAL rifles, as well as hand grenades. 16 inmates were murdered there and more than 48 were injured during a violent takeover of the prison. Over the years, efforts have been made by the Venezuelan government and human rights organizations to address the problems in La Sabaneta. However, so far everything has been in vain. Number 9. The Guantanamo Bay Detention Camp is a high-security military prison, located at the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base, located on the island of Cuba. Since 2002, U.S. authorities have used it as a detention center for detainees accused of terrorism, most of them detained in Afghanistan during the invasion of that country. The military prison was established by President George Bush in 2002 following the September 11, 2001, attacks on the Twin Towers. The prison is surrounded by a 3-meter-high electrified fence. It has a permanent complement of 635 Marines who coexist with other U.S. military and civilians. The total population is estimated at about 8,500 people. The prisoners are distributed in 4 camps surrounded by metal mesh fences, where they spend 24 hours a day. Each block has a total of 48 cells. 85% of the detainees are held in solitary confinement in Camp 6, which is the facility where conditions are most severe and interrogations and torture are practiced. Detainees are confined for a minimum of 23 hours a day in individual steel cells with no outside windows. Currently, Congress prohibits the transfer of Guantanamo prisoners to the United States due to their dangerousness, and also vetoes the use of public funds to send them to foreign countries, or to the United States itself. Number 8. The Rikers Prison Complex is an island located in the East River, which was acquired by the city of New York in 1884 to build a prison. The jail was named after the island's former owner, Abraham Rikers. It opened in 1932 and became a massive correctional complex. The prison expanded over time and became known for its immensity. With a prison population that often exceeded 10,000 people, it became one of the largest prison complexes in the world. Conditions inside Rikers have been the subject of intense debate and controversy. Overcrowding, lack of adequate medical care and violence are common in daily prison life. One of the conditions that make this prison so dangerous is the impressive number of mentally ill people who are excluded, reaching 47% of the total number of prisoners in 2022. In response to public pressure and criticism, steps were taken to reform Rikers. In 2019, a plan was announced to close the prison complex and replace it with smaller detention facilities. However, to date these measures have not been put in place. Number 7. Bang Kwang Prison, located in Thailand, is known for its history and reputation as one of the harshest and most notorious prisons in the world. Also known as the Prison of Death, it was built in the 1930s, and originally designed to be a high-security correctional facility. Over the years, Bang Kwang has held a varied population of prisoners, including local and foreign criminals convicted of serious crimes, such as drug trafficking, homicide and other violent crimes. The prisoners sleep on the floor, doubling the capacity of the area and in terrible sanitary conditions. They barely leave their cell, they wear shackles on their feet and eat a bowl of rice provided to them once a day. Bang Kwang has been best known worldwide for housing death row prisoners. Until recently, in 2005, executions were carried out by firing squad. However, today Thailand has suspended executions by this method. In recent years, Thailand has worked to improve conditions at Bang Kwang and other prisons in the country. However, despite reform efforts, Bang Kwang prison remains known for its harshness and inhumane conditions. Number 6. Tadmur Penitentiary, located in Syria, was a prison feared by all Syrian criminals for many decades. Also known as Palmyra, it was built in 1963 in the Syrian desert and was originally intended as a high-security military prison. The prison was built inspired by the ideas of the panopticons, which consisted in the fact that the prisoners never knew if they were being watched or not, since the guard tower was covered. Inmates were not allowed to lift their heads, look up, or look at each other, and dormitories had windows covered with wire or spikes. For decades, Tadmur earned a sinister reputation due to the serious human rights violations that occurred within its walls. Political prisoners, dissidents and people accused of opposing the regime of Syrian President Hafez al-Assad were often subjected to torture, ill treatment and summary executions. One of the most infamous events in Tadmur's history was the 1980 massacre, in which hundreds of political prisoners were murdered by Syrian security forces in retaliation for an escape attempt. In 2015, Islamic State, ISIS, forces took control of Tadmur, completely destroying the prison complex and releasing all criminals. Number 5. San Quentin Penitentiary, located in California, United States, was established in 1852 and is one of the oldest prisons in the United States. It was built to house prisoners in a maximum security prison environment. San Quentin was known for housing the gas chamber where numerous executions were carried out in California over the years, including the execution of notorious death row inmates. The prison has the state's only death row for men and the state's execution chamber. Although San Quentin has its own gas chamber, since 1966 executions have been carried out by lethal injection. This prison also stands out for having the most recognized and dangerous criminals in the country, most of them sentenced to death. These prisoners are locked in small cells 3 feet by 3 feet in length, where they only have a small toilet to relieve themselves. In 2019, the state of California announced plans to close San Quentin Penitentiary as it works to reduce the prison population and shift focus toward rehabilitation and reintegration of prisoners. Number 4. ADX Florence, known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, is a United States federal prison classified as maximum security, located in Fremont County, Colorado, near the town of Florence. Its main function is the confinement of male prisoners who the federal prison system considers extremely dangerous. The prison, completed in 1994, has 490 individual cells. Prisoners spend 23 hours a day in solitary confinement inside their cells, which measure 6 by 10 feet and are made almost entirely of concrete, including the bed. Due to the harsh conditions of confinement, considered total isolation, ADX Florence has been criticized by organizations defending human rights. The prison has housed some of America's most notorious and dangerous criminals, including terrorists, gang leaders, drug traffickers, and high-profile criminals such as Ted Kaczynski, known as the Tuna Bomber, and the world's most wanted drug trafficker, Joaquin the Chapo Guzman, head of the Sinaloa cartel. ADX Florence is commonly cited as the most secure prison in the United States and the world. In fact, no one has been able to escape since it opened in 1994. Some former prison officials describe it as a prison that was not designed for human beings. Number 3. The Terrorism Confinement Center, CECOT, is a maximum security prison located in the department of San Vicente, El Salvador. Opened in early 2023, this prison has electrified walls, punishment cells, a system that blocks cell phones and can hold up to 60,000 inmates. The gigantic prison, in an isolated rural area and equipped with a lot of technology, is the largest in America. The prison was built to hold gang members detained under the controversial emergency regime established by Nayib Bukele. Each pavilion has a construction area of 1.5 acres, and in each of its 32 cells equipped with steel bars, more than 100 gang members will be housed, with only 2 pools with running water for personal hygiene, and 2 toilets. Each cell also has iron sheet cabins without mattresses for inmates to sleep in. No patios, recreation areas, or conjugal spaces have been built, so gang members only leave the cell when they go to a room for their virtual judicial process. Likewise, inmates must pay for food, clothing, and hygiene products. The relatives of those detained under the exception regime reported that they are required to pay $170 a month to provide food and basic products to the detainees. Without a doubt, one of the most feared and controversial prisons today. Number 2. The IK-6 Penitentiary Colony, also known as the Black Dolphin, located in Russia, is the most secure prison in the country. Located near the border with Kazakhstan, it was founded in 1938 in the context of the Soviet Union. It has the capacity to house 1,600 prisoners, but currently there are about 1,000, and all of them are extremely dangerous. There are serial killers, pedophiles, terrorists, and cannibals. It is estimated that between them they are responsible for up to 8,000 murders. The cells have double protection, on the outside, reinforced steel doors, and on the inside, bars that prevent inmates from getting close. The vast majority of prisoners are sentenced to life imprisonment. All of them are isolated 24 hours a day, they are not allowed to have visits with their families, and they are constantly monitored by agents. Likewise, they are often not allowed to lie down or sit on their bunks until permission is granted, where prisoners must always respond with, "Yes, sir." No one has ever managed to escape from this prison, which is why, over the years, it has managed to position itself as one of the most dangerous and implacable prisons not only in Russia, but in the entire world. Number 1. Alcatraz Prison is a rocky island located in San Francisco Bay, California, United States. Also known as The Rock, the island has an area of 22 acres and is located 1.2 miles from the coast. Described as the most feared and dangerous prison in history, Alcatraz Prison closed its doors on March 21, 1963, due to its high maintenance costs, particularly the expense of transporting fresh water and waste. Alcatraz was designed to hold the most dangerous prisoners, who constantly caused problems in other federal prisons. Each prisoner had a cell measuring 7.5 by 4.5 feet, and they were completely isolated from the outside world. Likewise, Alcatraz was reported as a concentration and work camp, since all its prisoners had to work hard to exhaustion day after day, which often caused the prisoners to die from starvation, or prefer suicide. Alcatraz was the destination of many of the most famous criminals of the 20th century, as was the case of Al Capone, the biggest gangster in the United States, who served a 10-year prison sentence. Today the penitentiary is a museum and one of San Francisco's largest tourist attractions, attracting 1.5 million visitors annually. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel, so we can bring you more of history's finest tops, from around the world.